With the 4th of July just recently passing, I spent it the only way one knows how, enjoying a drink while allowing myself to watch Top Gun Maverick again, one of the most thoroughly exciting movies ever to me. While I enjoyed that movie as much as I did the first, second, and third time I had seen it, I did feel like I was missing out on watching a true 4th of July classic. Not Jaws, no, I'm talking about Brian De Palma's 1981 masterpiece, Blowout. Blowout, if you somehow aren't aware, tells the story of Jack Terry, a sound technician working for a low-budget slasher production. One night, when recording sound for the movie, he unintentionally captures audio that he believes may prove an accident was actually an intentional murder. In the pursuit of proving that, he meets the woman, Sally, who was also in the car with the now-dead governor. He seeks out more and more information from shady sources, and finds himself further and further down the rabbit hole, endangering both himself and those that he cares about most. One of the first things to notice about Blowout is the man at the center of it, John Travolta. If there's anything you can say for certain about John Travolta, it's that he's had a weird career. At the time of making Blowout, it was a bit of an unexpected choice for Travolta to pivot to the lead of a De Palma crime thriller, but I think he's a great fit here. He has this really awesome suave attitude throughout the first hour of the film, until he's finally pushed too far and just loses it. You really latch on to Jack Terry as soon as you really get to know him, and then Travolta spends the next hour thoroughly convincing you of who this man is. You buy Jack is talented at his job, through the incredible montages of him splicing film and mixing audio, or even the first scene of him intently capturing different sounds. It wasn't hard to buy that Travolta was Jack Terry. But you also buy his convictions. You understand why he's invested in this situation, and why he comes to care for those he encounters. Enough that I was also fully on board when he eventually goes overboard, when he loses his cool. I'm not the biggest fan of John Travolta as an actor, not that I necessarily don't like him, he's just never been my guy. This movie kinda changed that though. I was just really into what Travolta was going for, and by the end, I felt he had really earned that final big and kind of over-the-top last scene. It's terrific. Travolta is only really matched in this movie though by the awesomely terrifying and creeper performance that John Lithgow is giving. Inversely to Travolta, I've always been somewhat of a Lithgow fan. He was never my guy, but he's always been someone I'm excited to see, yet it was never for these kind of roles. His performance here reminds me a lot of Robin Williams in Insomnia, a character and performance that uses Williams' inherent calming presence to accentuate his malice and unsettling nature. Lithgow isn't someone you typically envision in a serial killer role, which plays a key part in making him all the scarier in this movie. His first murder we actively see him take part in is genuinely unnerving. It's pretty horrifying to watch him take a random woman's life. The moment in the film that really sells the performance though is his crying call to the police in the phone booth to report that murder over 30 minutes later. Lithgow just really is this enchantingly disturbing man throughout the entire film. He's as enthralling as he is repulsing, which makes Travolta's final defeat all the more satisfying. Nancy Allen is really good, if not a bit much by the third act, but she is responsible for the moment in this film, which does mean something. Through most of the film too, I was on Sally's side and empathizing with her a lot. Nancy Allen is very effectively playing someone who was unaware of what exactly she got herself into, and even though her decision was villainous to an extent, it's also easy to understand why she made it. The film also does make a key point to highlight how basically every man she encounters has treated her, and how menacing they are to women, and specifically women in promiscuous lines of work. But you could make a whole video on that part of the film alone. I also just want to quickly note that I adore every cop in this movie, who are all just so immediately dismissive of Travolta, and it consistently got a good laugh out of me each time. Although the performances are a big part of what makes this movie an all-timer, it's the technical and filmmaking elements that really put it over the top. The movie looks terrific. I consistently found myself in awe of the different framing choices and visual techniques deployed here. It's always said by people online and even in general conversations how movies from this era just look better, and this movie is a strong argument for what those people are saying. From a pure color and lighting perspective, the movie looks pretty great. Considering how much of the movie is shot at night, there's a terrific use of streetlights and lamps to create some real contrast, and then some really beautiful images through that. I love when Jack is first really listening to the tape and you see a lot of red and blue hitting him. Almost like this movie might be saying something about America. Anyways, I love the use of neon lights and signs to create these really gorgeous images. The movie also does a really great job of utilizing close-ups and tight shots to make the film not only feel tense, but achieve the sense of technical prowess it's going for. All the close-ups of Travolta using the equipment, whether it be the sound machine or him splicing the audio and images together, are really enchanting. Maybe I'm just a sucker for this stuff, but I also think framing it like this is a really cool choice. It's been noted plenty of times before that this film utilizes a lot of split diopter shots, and it does, but I love them all. Especially the early one with the owl and Travolta. Split diopter can definitely be one of those things that becomes gimmicky or cheap, but it is really well utilized basically every time it appears in this film. These shots have serious time and forethought put into them. It feels like an intentional choice, not just one made to briefly impress the audience. You could say that about this entire movie. Each aspect of this film does feel like there was a real sense of specificity and forethought put into it, and the movie feels relentlessly engaging for that reason. In many scenes, the split diopter is a literal connective tissue showing how our characters are connected or interacting despite large distances or awareness of some of the parties. On top of that, there's a genuine thematic reason to use it. Considering that this film is built around sound, showing the level of information our characters are aware of, even at a large distance, is really cool and adds to the sound gimmick that the movie's going for. Not only can we hear what the characters are seeing, but we get much more of an insight to the internal thought process and motives of our characters. When I mentioned how much I trust that Jack Terry knows what he is talking about and is competent at his job, it's in part because I think Travolta is doing such a good job, but also because of how this visual style enhances that element of the movie. It really feels like filmmaking that is in conversation in every aspect, at every level, and I don't think there was a point where I wasn't engaged or invested because of it. The entire movie feels like it's in harmony with itself. It really sings. I've mentioned the sound design, but man, is it arguably the most remarkable aspect of this pretty much wholly impressive movie. From the first scene where we watch Travolta outside collecting the audio, it's easy to be immersed in the auditory world the film is building. Like I said, this is definitely heightened by the visual style of the movie, but it's also a testament to how great a job the actual sound technicians did on the film. The sound of the crime is as invigorating and intriguing as the sound of him loading the tapes, or him racking the film in the machine. I don't consider myself much of a gearhead. I don't know the name of a lot of these devices, or honestly, probably how a lot of them really work, but I still find myself so enthralled by each of these moments, and I doubt anybody who watches this film wouldn't be. There's a real flex moment where, like I mentioned, Jack combines images he found in a magazine with his sound recording from that night. We watch Jack meticulously and precisely line the two up. There's some wonderful sounds here as he does, the machine whirring as it plays the two back, the loud scratching as he rewinds and fast forwards the tape on both machines, with the second having a completely different and more mechanical sounding noise. Also, the wonderful switch that lets him move frame by frame with the compiled visual and audios. This isn't even mentioning all of the incredible latches and levers. Every chance this movie gets, it goes the extra mile to make something that sounds really fantastic. What really puts this all over the top, though, is how intertwined all of it feels. I briefly mentioned it just a bit earlier, but every aspect of this movie feels like it heightens the rest of the film. The visuals draw you to what this movie is going for from a sound design perspective. Then that sound design heightens what the movie is saying thematically and narratively, and then those in turn elevate those and the cycle continues. I mentioned sequences that highlight this, like when Jack first listens to the tape or when he first assembles it with the film, but you could see it over the whole movie. Another favorite of mine is when Jack returns to his office to see that all of his tapes had been wiped. The camera pans through the entire room, showing every machine running. At first, all you can focus on is the sound of the machines, the overwhelming and somewhat enchanting hum of the machinery, until you slowly realize that there is a vacuum of any other noise, of what's expected. It's a textbook example of filmmaking highlighting the stakes and narrative tension of the movie. It was one of the few different moments where the movie genuinely blew me away. This scene is directly followed or ended by the camera slowly pulling back across the entire destroyed office, with that same noise doled out much more and yet ringing even more painfully in our ears now. Truly terrific stuff. The final scene I want to highlight is the big final chase, which opens at a train station. All the elements I've been discussing are used in harmony here to make this one of the more tense and thrilling instant movie I've seen in quite some time. As Jack tries to listen for any clues on which direction Sally and Burke went, the camera whips around and is as disoriented as Jack is. The rushing sound of the train, the spray of the hose, and the patter of the footsteps around him all work to overwhelm him and us. When Jack is finally able to hear where they are going, the split diopter returns, highlighting Jack's keen ear and hopeful success of his quest. When Jack wakes up and is back on the chase, we get the same overloading of sound and visuals, with the blasting of fireworks pounding his ears, and the screen packed with some of the best imagery put to film. The real final, powerful, and horrifying blow are Sally's screams, which highlight the end of Jack's quest and the end of the movie. There are many things I loved about Blowout. The performances like I highlighted, the relentlessly impressive and engaging filmmaking techniques on display, the film's discussion of growing disbelief in the American system and those in charge of it, or on the role of surveillance and the amount one should be allowed to intrude on others' lives, the clear analog and literal textual references to filmmaking and the entire process of that. There's plenty to love about this movie. But when the credits rolled, I couldn't quite put my finger on one thing specifically, because I think it's a real team effort here. The visuals wouldn't be as eye-popping or memorable if it wasn't also for the terrific audio paired with it. I wouldn't remember the scratches and booms as much as I did if I didn't care about these characters and the slow burn of the plot behind them as much, which in turn is a testament to the performances behind those characters too. It's a movie working entirely in tandem, and evidence of just how incredible a film can be if you really do your best to plan all of it together. Blowout's a damn good movie, in quite literally every department. That's going to do it for this one though, so as always, thank you for watching. Please consider leaving a like and subscribing, follow me on Letterboxd and Substack, and go watch Blowout and let me know what you think.